So yesterday I was talking to some key leaders and influencers inside a business about feedback. There are so many different aspects to feedback, but one area that I find that many leaders say that they'd like more of is actually receiving meaningful and impactful feedback. And the gap that they find is either around infrequent feedback, so they're not getting feedback regularly enough to make a difference to them in their growth and development, or the feedback is a little ambiguous. So they're not really sure about what this feedback is about or potentially where they can use it to learn and grow. So I wanted to give you a simple framework to be more purposeful and deliberate in setting up a cadence around receiving feedback from the people that matter or count for you, whether that's your leader, key stakeholders, your peers, or your team. So let's go through that framework, and I'll also put the notes in the comments below as well. So number one, it's really important that you become very specific around the feedback that you're wanting. So identify the area of growth that you're interested in. Now, you could use potentially your job description, success profile, OKRs, whatever it is that helps you understand where you are right now and where you're wanting to be. It could be in 6 months' time, 12 months' time. It could be a long-term career goal. And breaking down the aspects of that role and where you want to develop, so where your gaps are. So a small example for me would be, a key area for me is making sure that my remote teaching and workshops are really engaging. So I might want to get some specific feedback around some areas about my remote presentation style. And I want to make sure that it's as specific as possible, because if I just talk generally about remote presentation, it can cover so many areas. So for this example, I might say, I want whoever's going to give me the feedback to give me feedback on my pace of delivery and my intonation, in terms of the verbal intonation I have, so that I've got nice dips and valleys to how I present. And the second thing is how I present to camera with use of slides. So I want feedback around those two areas. The second thing that you need to think about is, who do you want the feedback from? Identify the key individual or individuals that you think could give you some great feedback around that. So it might be one person or it might be several over time. So for me, it's Diane. She is a coach that I know, and she also works with and for the Speakers Institute. So she's excellent at thinking about presentation style. So I want her to be the person that is giving me feedback. The third thing, prepare that person for the feedback that you want and the situations you want it from. Springing the question about, well, how did I go on that presentation at the end of the presentation is not going to give you as much meaningful feedback as if you'd prepared them beforehand. So I'm going to meet with Diane and let her know that I would like feedback around these two core areas. I would love her to attend 3 of my presentations over the next month because they're slightly different. And then I'm going to book some time in after each presentation to get feedback around those key areas. So that's about preparing the individual or group of people for the feedback that you want. Make sure you're really clear and specific about that feedback with the individuals and about the structure that you're going to use with them. The other thing that you want to talk to them about is tell them why it matters. By giving them an insight into why it will be meaningful for you to get that feedback means that they have a better chance of being really honest and direct. They're not going to hold back because they can understand how important it is for you. So for me, it's about the meaning for me is I want to make an impact and create value for the people that I work with, whether I teach or coach them or they come to my workshops. I want to ensure that the presentations are engaging and they can extract value out of it. So that's my meaning. So that's what I'll be telling Diane, so she understands how much weight there is behind wanting to grow in this specific area. So then you want to be able to go into the feedback session with a growth mindset, making sure that you're open and curious and ask questions of the person that is providing you feedback. So if Diane is providing me feedback, it's about me taking notes and maybe asking a little bit deeper with some of the feedback she gives me, because oftentimes we delete information or it might be a little ambiguous. So if Diane gave me some feedback about, I think it would be good if you were a little bit faster, I might say faster at the beginning, faster throughout the presentation. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, so that I really understand the aspects of the feedback that I'll be able to use? So after you've had your feedback session, you've taken notes, make sure that you thank the person that's given you that feedback. They've taken time out, they've thought deeply about what you need and their perspective, so thank them for their time. And then the final part of receiving feedback is make time to reflect on that feedback and create an action plan for how you're going to implement some of the key learnings and insights. And what are the measures of success? Could one of the measures be that I'm going to practice more of my intonation and pace? Maybe I have to practice smiling more in my presentations. And so I put an action plan in to be able to reflect back on any of the courses that I teach and review how my intonation's going and my pace. Or maybe I ask Diane back to be able to give me a rating and further feedback later. So there's a simple framework. Make sure you're clear on what you want feedback on. You identify who you want that feedback from. You prepare them for the feedback and the structure it is going to take. Make some time after the session that they've watched to give you that feedback. Then listen, take notes, ask questions, be gracious and thank them, and make some time to reflect and create an action plan.